Hey everybody, it's Ed. Before we get started, I have three people I want to thank. Aaron Wheat, Christy Knackard, and Darren Nordhagen. Aaron, Christy, and Darren all signed up to support the podcast through Patreon. So if you want to learn more about that or other options, you go to mountainandprairie.com/support. Thank you very much. Hey, this is Ed Robertson, and this is the Mountain and Prairie Podcast, where I introduce you to some of the innovative individuals who are shaping the future of the American West. I meet most of these people through my work in land conservation or through my hobbies and interests that revolve around spending time up high in the mountains. My guests include ranchers, writers, entrepreneurs, conservationists, athletes, artists, adventurers, pretty much anyone who's doing important work, has an interesting story, and loves the American West. My guest today is Jessica Ilalaole. Jessica is a New Mexico-based artist who specializes in handcrafted jewelry inspired by the natural world and the landscapes of the American West. Through her online store called CobraCult Jewelry, Jessica has built a loyal following of customers and admirers who are drawn to her uniquely stunning designs as well as her authentic and unconventional lifestyle. Jessica's personality is a unique mix of confident yet humble, social yet solitary, fiercely independent yet fully devoted to her friends and family. A special blend of traits that have allowed her to create unique art and a one-of-a-kind life. Jessica grew up in Hawaii but now lives on a spectacular property in northern New Mexico on the western slope of the Sangre de Cristo mountain range. Her jewelry studio looks out onto the mountains, and she and her partner Cody are in the process of building an adobe cabin from the ground up. But while the views are spectacular, their lives are currently fully focused on hard work, home construction, jewelry making, and the day-to-day realities of running Jessica's business. Their vision and work ethic are extremely inspiring, and it was a pleasure to meet and record this episode at their property. We sat down in Jessica's studio and had a wonderful and wide-ranging conversation. We started by chatting about the property, how they decided to move there, how they acquired it, and their plans for it. We then talked about Jessica's journey as an artist and why and when she decided to make a go of it as a full-time jewelry maker. We talk about the influence of her parents, her artistic influences, her love of motorcycles and tattoos, and how social media has helped her to grow her business. We also discuss her commitment to positivity, the roots of her independent streak, and she offers up some excellent advice for other aspiring artists. And as usual, we discuss favorite books, films, the best advice she's ever received, and much more. Be sure to check out the episode notes for links to everything we discuss. Hope you enjoy. Normally, or a lot of times I do these things on Skype.
Yeah.
And luckily I did not do this one on Skype because this is probably the coolest place I've recorded one of these things. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. Can you maybe just talk about where we are right now?
Yeah, we're in northern New Mexico, about 10 miles from the Colorado border, 10 miles south of the Colorado border.
Yep.
And the closest town is Cuesta. It's really small. But and at the base of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, near the La Tierra Wilderness.
And we really are like right at the base. We're sitting in a workshop staring at the side of the mountain. It's really awesome. So how did you end up here? Because I want to kind of go through your whole progression because you're a long way from where you grew up. But what led you to be here right now? Specifically,
New Mexico. We had gone on a few road trips and stopped to see some friends in Taos.
Yeah.
And so originally I thought, let's move to Taos. It's a nice place. It's inspiring. It's beautiful. And then that turned into having, the idea, the dream of maybe owning some property this way. And at the time we were living in Northern California, but then that turned into having dinner with a friend in Portland when I was visiting there. And her dad just happened to have some property that was for sale.
Oh, cool.
And so we discussed with her, just casually. And then fast forward maybe 6 months, we were calling her dad and then looking at the property that we're living on now, which is 30 minutes away from where I kind of originally thought we would end up. if we bought property, but I actually like it a lot better up here.
Well, I was telling you when I got here that I've driven by this, I don't know how many times, and there's one big valley back there that I always wonder, I wonder what's back there. And your place is right at the mouth of that valley.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Whenever I drive home from Taos, when I run errands, I think, I live in a place where a lot of people drive by and go, who the heck lives there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we live here.
You live here, and the wild horses live across the street. I mean, it's really a spectacular place. Maybe let's just start at the beginning. You did not grow up in the high desert, huh?
No.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up on the Big Island in Hawaii. So.
And how did your family get there? How'd your parents get there?
My grandparents decided to move there actually after my mom was already an adult at the time, and my uncle was much younger, so he actually moved there with my grandparents. They opened a business, and my mom, in a sort of interesting string of events, she ended up meeting my dad in San Francisco, who's Hawaiian.
Oh, okay.
And then that's how she ended up in Hawaii. So I feel like Hawaii was just pulling my family there. And that's my mother's side. So they grew up in Wisconsin.
Got it.
That's where they're originally from. So that's very different than Hawaii. But my dad, of course, was born in Hawaii. And so what was that like growing up there? I mean, how does that? Wonderful.
I've never even been. I mean, I've never been. I want to go because I surf very badly, but I don't even know where to start though because of all the different islands. I mean, talk about Hawaii.
The Big Island where I grew up, it's obviously big.
Yeah.
But I think it's, and don't quote me on this, but they have all but 2 of the world's climates on one island.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah. And then even on the top of Haleakala, oh no, excuse me. I've been away for a long time. Mauna Kea, it snows.
Yeah.
And people, they're having a lot of turmoil with the...
Is that with the telescope?
Yeah. And I haven't kept up with that. I'm pretty far removed right now, but I don't know enough about it to really speak to it, but it's a pretty sacred place. So it maybe the telescope doesn't need to go there.
No, that's what it's funny. We were talking before we started recording about how we both try to ignore the news.
Yeah,
because it can make you so upset. But
a little negative.
That even got through my very strict filter. Like I was very aware of that. So.
I think it'd be pretty safe to say that I'd be against it.
Yeah.
But so the Big Island, basically grew up on the beach. Little beach baby, eating sand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I grew up in the water. My brother was a surfer. So we were very connected to nature there.
And were you, because your dad was from there, and I mean, were you considered like a native Hawaiian?
No.
Really?
I was considered to most people to be a haole, but I'm actually technically a hapa haole because I have Hawaiian blood in me. So, but I look more Caucasian.
Okay.
Because my mom is like a redhead with freckly pale skin. So, and then mix that with my dad, who has really dark skin. And I guess this was what you get.
Sure. Was that
I get tan,
tough?
but...
I mean, was that
Yeah,
tough?
that was really tough.
That's what I've heard stories.
It was very like... a lot of hard knocks, I guess. It's... Especially before, because it's pre-internet.
Sure.
Before people found a lot of things that they had in common. And, before cell phones, really, if I'm dating myself.
Sure.
But I got picked on a lot, to say.
Just basically color your
Yeah,
skin.
well, and then it didn't help that was sort of the grunge era, and I was kind of into Nirvana, and I had pink hair and pierced my nose when I was like 13. And
Did you
so
really?
that didn't really help.
I wonder,
being the other.
That's obviously no fun, but you wonder if that is kind of can give you a perspective that most people or most white people don't have.
Yeah.
Of being a minority.
I think it kind of had a chip on my shoulder for a little bit, maybe when I was a teenager, because I was Hawaiian. I was kind of like,
give me a
I'm
break
actually
here.
like Hawaiian here, and
Yeah.
I'm being picked on. So, but now I go back, I definitely feel more welcome.
That's cool.
In my own home place.
So you mentioned, we'll call it independent streak, dyeing your hair.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Either your parents like that? Because you've obviously still got it. I mean, in a great way.
Yeah.
But so your parents are not like that? I was
always kind of in my family like the weird kid.
Your brother's not like that?
No. Well, I mean, he was a wild child for sure, but he's also a boy, so he got away with everything that I didn't get away with. And he was a surfer, and he had that. I think I was really artistic, so I had a lot of, teen angst, which is not that unique, but I didn't have, it was a small island town, and I loved the beach, but I think I just needed a little bit more. Like, I needed some artistic way to express myself, and I just didn't have the community to find it.
What kind of art were you doing?
Oh, man. Collages, stuff you do in your room when you're listening to angsty teen music.
Yeah. So you'd be in your room. So you didn't have there wasn't a big community of artists there. It was
not connected to my family. Like, we were out. I grew up in a real outdoorsy family.
Nice.
Like, my dad was into fishing, and he actually did like some skin diving and.
A waterman?
Yeah, he was really into the water. And then my brother was a surfer, and then my mom. She just was an avid hiker and backpacker, and of course I got dragged on all those things. I'm one of those people that now I'm just, that's all I want to do is be out in the wilderness. But when I was younger, since my parents, because of the type of teenager I was like, you want me to do this? I don't want to do it. Even though it's awesome, I'm going to pretend I hate it.
I read somewhere, I think I was looking at different interviews you've done, and there was one that said you think you might be basically turning into your mom. Kind
of. And my dad, like, simultaneously, because my dad actually is building an organic, I would call it like a fruit farm. I don't really know if he kind of knows exactly what he's doing, but they're living off the land, they're off grid, and
oh wow.
And now I'm like, oh my God, now I'm doing what my dad was doing. And I find that I'm definitely taking on the things that my parents showed me.
That's a good deal. So went to high school in Hawaii, get out of high school, then what happened?
Well, actually, I went to high school for 2 years in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
We moved to Portland.
So the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I, for some reason, was obsessed with Portland when I was a teenager. And so I was just so happy to move there.
Was it the grunge?
It was like, maybe it was the rain and the wetness and then also the city.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, you can just take a train. You like go to the mall, like all that boring. I think I was confused. I definitely like different things now, but you have to experience the city a little bit to
you don't know
if you love it or don't love it.
So last 2 years in Oregon, and then
I actually stayed in Portland for until like 5 years ago or 4.5 years ago.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so I was there before I moved to Hayfork in Northern California.
Okay. And so what kind of work were you doing there? Because the jewelry has been, you told me.
So much.
Really? Like just a variety? And was art always the consistent theme?
I was always artistic, yeah. And I don't think I found my medium. And actually, it's funny because now that I am an artist, I actually am drawn to other mediums like ceramics and like some fiber arts I'm really interested in. But at the time, I think I was just sort of fumbling around with a bunch of different things. And nothing quite clicked until I got into jewelry.
So what was your first kind of intro into jewelry? I mean, how did that enter?
It was just a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just started doing it for fun.
I think I lost an earring, and then my friend's like, you could just make it. So I started making my own earrings, and I was working at a place called Buffalo Exchange.
Okay.
I worked there for a long time, and I made actually all my very best friends were the friends that I made at Buffalo Exchange. For some reason, we're all just really close.
Are they all kind of artsy as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was working there, and just playing around with different art forms. And then my friend and I, my friend Claire, she and I decided we were going to team up and we were both going to make jewelry, and then we were going to sell it out of a suitcase at I think it's first Thursday or last Thursday. This feels like ages ago, but like a street fair where anyone can set up stuff on the side of the road and sell stuff. And now I look back and I'm like, man, that was wild. Yeah. Like we would just take a suitcase and a little table and we'd open it up, and then I think I was selling things for like $20, and then if I made $35, I was like, wow, that's so cool. And so I kind of realized I could have this, modest, very modest side hustle.
When did you, so just selling something, even if it is $20, $10,
good.
That's a big deal.
You're like, wow, someone liked this? They actually paid money for it?
Yeah, it's such, I think having money in your pocket's great, but in some ways, it's just this validation. Like, all right, this is legit. I've got the Patreon thing on for the podcast, and I remember when I put it out there and I got the first notification that somebody,
what?
Wait, what? And I love the money, but more importantly, it's like, all right, this resonates with people. So whatever I'm doing is resonating with at least a few people. And so was it almost like addictive after that? Like, I want to keep doing this, or did you doubt yourself?
I've consistently sold jewelry from then. That was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it was just piecing together things that I found, or going to the whatever craft store and just, I can't honestly even really describe. It feels so long ago, but
describe what the jewelry looked like.
Like what the jewelry looked like.
Yeah.
It was probably just a reflection of whatever was fashionable at the time, but it probably had feathers.
Yeah.
Definitely had feathers, maybe some beads. But it was a good feeling, and I've done it ever since. But it's my, I guess you could say, career.
It is
my livelihood. Career sounds weird because I feel like I might do other things one day. Like, career sounds like a forever thing. But yeah, I've just always done that on the side. And then I owned a shop with my mom called the One Stop Sustainability Shop.
Nice.
My mom was very sustainable. And then after 2 years, we realized she just wanted to help people be sustainable, and I actually needed to make some money because we hadn't paid me in 2 years. So that's when it really got kicked up into something. I took classes and got better at what I was doing. That's when I started silversmithing, because we weren't paying me anything for my work, and I needed a little bit of money to buy food.
Yeah.
But that experience owning the store with my mom made me realize I don't ever want to own a store.
Well, I was talking with somebody about this recently, and owning a store,
it's hard.
Well, it's owning like a retail shop. Like, that is a business into itself. Yeah. And then whatever you have a passion, like I used to think I want to own an outdoor gear store. Ooh. And outdoor gear is cool, but the reality of retail is rough, especially now. And you find that you end up doing less of the things that you love because you're so busy, running the store. So, yeah, that didn't work out. And then after that, I worked at a grocery store, a health food store, which I the job where you have to ask to use the bath. I'm going to use the restroom. Is that okay? I just can't no,
do it.
Fair enough. Same here.
I think I always knew I wanted to be in charge of my own schedule and have flexibility. Flexibility is really important to me.
Definitely.
If something comes up, I want to be able to shift things around or hustle harder so I can do what it is that I want to do. Do you consider yourself to be pretty self-driven and motivated? Because you gotta be. But don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm like, I could be. I'd say 95% of the time I have the discipline to. If I have to work, I'll work. I'd say that's pretty damn good. 5% of the time, a friend comes to visit and they're like, "Didn't take the day off," and I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. And then when you're self-employed, especially as an artist, the more you work, the more you sell, the more income you have, and so there's ebbs and flows for sure. You mentioned that you took classes. What did you learn in those classes? I took a like a general silversmithing class, and that was probably the first time I ever like actually soldered something.
Yeah.
I mean, and if anyone ever wants to get into, like, I get a lot of emails asking me, how did you get into, you know, jewelry making? And I just took classes, like silversmithing, particularly.
Well, that's what's interesting about it is because it's art, obviously, but it's also a craft. I mean, it's something that, like, I've had a lot of painters on the podcast, and half of them went to art school and half of them didn't and taught themselves. But I would think with what you're doing, it is a skill that's been passed down generation to generation, and you could probably hurt yourself if you're not doing it right.
I've burned my fingers a few times.
You're just showing me, like, there's like a vat of acid over there and stuff.
Or I've gotten, the worst thing that's happened is I've gotten my my Fordham, it's a flex shaft. It's really just a Dremel tool, but every jeweler, almost, well, I'm assuming every jeweler has one, but I got it stuck in my hair once. It just wound up, you know, because it's a disc, and I was like, whoa! I mean, it's got a foot pedal, but that was jarring. That's probably the scariest thing that I've done. I managed to get my hair up, but
that's really scary.
That's probably the scariest thing. But yeah,
it really
just
makes my stomach feel weird.
Yeah. Well, your hair is safe.
Yeah,
it would reset.
But yeah, buzz cut.
But they were just night classes at the. It was Oregon College of Arts and Crafts.
Okay.
And so be like 2 nights a week, and so it's very casual. It wasn't like art school. So I think anyone can learn how to do to silversmith.
Sure. When did you decide, all right, or at what moment, I guess, you decide, all right, I can do this full time. Like, this can be my career.
I don't know if I thought I can. I think I thought I'll try. It was when I was working at the grocery store, and I was actually just I was a cashier, so 8 hours a day. It was like boop. Mm-hmm. And I'm really social. Yeah. Which is kind of weird for someone who lives in the middle of nowhere.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
But so I like the social aspect of working a job like that, but it just wasn't fulfilling, and I found myself getting really depressed, and so, and then I also went through a really bad breakup, which things like that tend to just throw you into, you're just like, all right, I'm just going to take a leap of faith. Mm-hmm. And so I just decided I'm going to do this full time. And it was very hard for like the first, I'd say 3 years at least. I mean, I was just broke all the time, but I was selling stuff, but just not a lot of stuff.
Was there a moment when it really took off, or was it like a very, very slow build to where you are now? Or was it like nothing, then something, it took off? It
was a slow build for those first 3 years. And then once I moved to the mountains, I don't know, something just clicked. And I think the inspiration was there. The time was there to really, really grind.
Was it a similar setup to how we are here, pretty remote?
Yeah, I'd say remote. We were closer to town, but we were up on a hill. So, I mean, we felt like, you couldn't see your neighbors. And, the town was actually smaller than the town that we live close to now. Hayfork, California.
Never been there.
It's in Trinity County.
Okay.
Near the Trinity Alps, which I'm obsessed with.
Very cool.
It's a beautiful area. It's very mountainous, it's in the Emerald Triangle, so it's got all that marijuana stuff going on. But I think that it just clicked. I had the work ethic, and I had the time to work, and I had the inspiration, and I had no friends. Yeah. I think I made some friends eventually, but so I didn't really have a social life to keep me busy.
So how was that, being a social person?
Hard.
I think that's impressive, though, that you're able to, because I would think it could go one of two ways. You either dive into your work, or you just generally get kind of depressed and like wilt out.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I cried a lot. I had a lot of friends in Portland. I had a big group of lady friends, and we hung out all the time. Yeah. And I moved to Hayfork originally for love. And then also because...
For the man out there on the roof?
Yeah, the man on the roof building the cabin for me right now. But, Yeah, I also think that it deep inside me, I just knew it was the right choice, even though it was hard. Mm-hmm. And then now looking back, it was the best decision and the most transformational time of my life.
So obviously for business, but was there other transformation?
Yeah, like I never hung out by myself ever when I lived in the city. And now, I mean, I could go like weeks.
Do you do any sort of meditation or mindfulness stuff at all?
I wish I could say that. I'd say my meditation is more like, taking the dogs out into the forest and leaving the phone at home or something.
Yeah.
But I think I have a hard time sitting still in general.
Yeah. That's a good thing, I think. As long as you recognize it. And I mean, you obviously, you channel it into the right places. But before we go any farther, let's talk about the man on the roof. Because he's an impressive dude. I mean, that house is really awesome. This whole thing is awesome.
I can't believe how big it is, because when we first started talking about it, I mean, my studio was like, I don't know, what is it like? I should know the measurements, but I don't. Well, It's like, I don't know, like a 7 by 14 or 8 by 14 or something. And I pictured it being like twice as big as this. And I mean, our house, I call it the adobe cabin because it's kind of half cabin, half adobe.
Yeah.
And it's like huge.
How did y'all meet?
We met through mutual friends, and then we spent some time traveling because he was in Northern California and then I was in Portland. So I would meet him halfway, or he'd come up to Portland and we'd hang out with friends. And we actually have a lot of mutual friends, so it was an easy transition. And he was actually supposed to move to Portland to be with me. And then I think he just came up one day and he just said, I can't do it. I can't live in this city. And I was like, all right, let's move to Hayfork. And so then I moved down there, and I mean, it was just a no-brainer. I just didn't even second guess it. I just moved down there. And we lived in a trailer, actually, the first couple months on a ranch. He was a ranch hand.
Okay.
Which was really cool, because then I got to help out on the ranch and see the horses every day, and that was neat. And I didn't have a studio down there, so I had to travel back to Portland every 2 weeks and then work out of the studio I had there for like a week and then go down. And yeah, that wasn't gonna last very long. So
that's I would imagine you figure out pretty quickly whether or not you're supposed to be with somebody in those tight quarters and hard work. I mean, because obviously, like where we are right now, it's beautiful, but it's cold, and you guys are working your asses off. Like, this is not like frolicking in the wilderness. Like, y'all are both cranking hard. So, I mean, when did you know, like, all right, this guy can be my partner for all of this?
Impulsive, and no dream is too big.
Really?
And I'm more calculated, and so that's kind of an interesting combo. I think, before we bought this property, he's like, let's buy it. I just feel like we should buy it. And I was like, well, let's think about it. Let's think about buying it. And he's like, and then I think I was like, okay, we'll buy it. And then now we have it, and I'm looking back, and I was like, if he had just caved and he hadn't pushed for that, we wouldn't be here right now. So he's hungry for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am too, but being with him makes it so that I don't hold myself back. He's kind of the inspiration that pushes me.
Yeah. He definitely, I'm just so impressed that you guys have built all this in a relatively short period of time, you know?
Yeah. And he is a mountain man. I mean, he's not
it's not like he spent his entire life in construction. That's what
he just learns by doing. It's crazy. I'm looking over there like, at what point in the last 4 years did you learn how to build a cabin?
When all the electricity, and I mean, it's...
Well, actually, we had a friend help with the electrical.
Okay, nice.
I was a firm.
Yeah.
Because I actually wired all the electrical for my shop.
Oh, did you?
And
really?
I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks because I was worried that when we hooked the solar up, nothing would work.
Uh-huh.
And it worked. So I was like, I don't want to live through that again. So we actually have a friend who's an electrician. He came down and... they drank beers and then worked on it together. So nice. It's legit.
So when do you think it'll be ready to go?
I think it'll be ready to go, hopefully by the end of May.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good.
Or June.
Don't push it in.
Yeah.
That's really neat. I'm very impressed by all this. How do you describe your jewelry?
Oh, that's like the hardest question for someone like me.
Or I know, here's a better one. What are the influences of your jewelry? Because we're sitting here in your workshop or in your studio, and you've got all these really cool books.
Yeah, I'm definitely a book collector.
So we've got, I see right next to each other, the alchemy and mysticism next to 1,000 nudes.
Yeah.
So like,
the nudes, maybe not so much. I don't actually know where I got that book. But,
yeah, like what are your big influences? And it could be any
obviously in nature.
Sure.
And then actually color plays a lot into, maybe it doesn't sound as interesting, but I'm really into water. Uh-huh. And so of course I'm drawn to turquoise or any of those types of stones that have that like deep blue or deep green.
Yep.
I'm definitely inspired by, just, I don't know why that's such a hard question for me.
There was one thing I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's for your jewelry in particular, but you said you were in, nature, and then you said motorcycle culture.
I used to be more, I think since I've moved to the mountains, that just fell off. Because
so like when you say motorcycle culture, what does that mean? Like when you think of that? Like Fast and the Furious crotch rockets? Just joking.
No, more
just joking.
More like the 70s vibe.
Yeah, that's what
I used to ride a motorcycle, and I still could. And I have a motorcycle. It just isn't as important to me.
How did you get into riding motorcycles?
I got into it when I was in Portland. Uh-huh. And actually I didn't have a vehicle for a really long time, so all I had was a motorcycle.
Okay.
And this is definitely like cliche, but my ex-partner was really into motorcycles, so naturally I was like, well, I want to ride a motorcycle too.
Yeah. And
then all the people around us were kind of into bikes. Or
did you ever have any close calls?
Well, I definitely dumped my bike like twice, and I burnt my ankle on the pipe. Which
like it landed
really
on
bad
you?
Right before I went on a road trip, so I had this like 2nd-degree burn on my ankle for a while, which that hurt. But don't hit your front brake in the gravel. So I never made that mistake again. And I went on a really long road trip with my ex-partner, and that was an amazing experience. And I think that's what I like about riding bikes. It's not really riding around the city, like ride to the bar, like, that's just not a good idea.
Sure, yeah.
But I think when you're out riding to beautiful places, but you're not like in a vehicle, you're actually in the wind, and you're smelling the sagebrush or the pine. And I think that's what's special about motorcycle riding. It's not really I think I used to be caught up in the sort of social aspect of it, and now not so much. Now that I think it was more of the traveling aspect that I really liked. I
used to I just had a very little motorcycle that I ride around and during grad school. And I remember it's, in a way, it's kind of like surfing or like rock climbing, in that it forces you to get in the zone, or it forced me to, because I never got comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I was always really, really focused. And so just driving from school to my house would be this pretty intense, focused experience, which is neat. But I remember, like you drive over a hill and go down, and then the air would be a lot cooler, and then you go up and it warms up, and it's just you're so focused in on the environment, and you're in it. You're not in this bubble of a car.
Yeah, and it's not always comfortable.
No.
Like riding a motorcycle is, you get aches and pains, and especially if you're going far. And then is there a monsoon coming? And then you're drenched, and I definitely had some like toe warmers in my boots a few times, but I think, being exposed to the elements makes it more exciting, but maybe not always, the most comfortable experience. Yeah,
it's a unique thing. I was actually thinking about motorcycles the other day, and I saw somebody riding one. I love those BMW motorcycles.
Those are fast.
They're fast. And I watched this documentary about Ewan McGregor, that actor, and one of his buddies, and they did a motorcycle trip around the world.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's maybe 7 or 8 episodes. That's when I watched that. I got so obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And and it was when I lived in Jackson Hole, and in North Carolina, I had no desire to ride a motorcycle. But then when you see these wide open spaces out here and there's no traffic.
When you can really open it up too.
I was thinking, man, that'd be cool.
I think my favorite place to ride a bike was probably like across Nevada, because there's just nothing there. And I don't have to worry about like, you know, other cars, and it can get a little bit more comfortable, I feel like, going fast.
Sure. It's I ate it one time though, and I've just, now that I have two little girls, if I were out running or in the mountains or something, and like say I got struck by lightning or whatever happened, I would, obviously I don't want to, you know, hurt myself real bad or die, but that is the risk of doing those sports, and I'm okay with it. If I put myself in a wheelchair riding a motorcycle, I'd never forgive myself. Yeah. Because I don't like it enough, you know? And so I just have to do that math. But they are fun, man.
Yeah, really fun. And then also we got dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I don't know, I like to take my dogs everywhere. Yeah. And I was like, well, where do you put a dog on a, I mean, it'd be cool to have the little sidecar. Yeah. But that's not realistic.
No. Are sidecars cool? Are you a joke if you show up with a sidecar?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever like known someone to have one.
I've seen them, but I don't know if they're never in like a gang.
I mean, I definitely think if you were riding one of those and you had a dog in a sidecar, cool. I mean, like people would definitely be giving you thumbs up. I would love to see that. But I think if I do start riding more, it'd probably be dirt bikes.
Yeah. Or here. I mean, you could just take off on all these roads. Because
I've had a lot of friends get in accidents, and it's just riding around the city, and I just generally don't go to the city often anyways. Mm-hmm. It makes more sense to have like a dual sport or a dirt bike, and to get out in the woods and experience.
It is. Maybe one day I'll get back into it. I better not watch that Ewan McGregor movie again, because that's what sent me over the edge the first time. When did tattoos become part of
I mean, that also kind of just snowballed. I like collaged, right? When I was a kid. Yeah. Or when I was a teenager. And to me, it's just sort of a collage of all these things that inspire you or you think are beautiful. Mm-hmm. I actually don't have super, super cool stories about all of them. Yeah. You know, I get really asked cool. a lot, like, what does it mean? I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was beautiful, and I like to look at it. But then it's funny because a lot of the tattoos, especially living in a cold place, I mean, you never see them. Sure. But yeah, I just think, it's kind of just a collage of art.
When you were when you were trying to figure out, like when you decide you want one, were you attracted to the design or to the artist, or was it both? Like
both. Yeah. Probably the person I would and still get tattooed by is Cheyenne Sawyer in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. I'll put a link.
He's done a lot of my tattoo work, and he's kind of hard to get in with though, because he's booked out. But
is he really?
But he's an old friend, and that also makes it comfortable because we can just, talk story and
definitely.
Yeah. It's almost like jewelry you don't have to take off. Sure. Too. Like I have a lot of hand tattoos, and those are my favorite ones because those are the only ones I see.
You see them.
Thankfully, I like them.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any you don't like? Do you have any you look at and you're like,
yeah. And usually those are the ones where I think I got it because I was just going through some sort of phase or something. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just with anything, you wouldn't just paint your house a certain way because you think it's cool at the time. Like it's better to stick to classic. Like I think now I would just get flowers and butterflies and animals, but I have some more rock and roll style stuff that doesn't really reflect what I'm into now.
It's kind of cool though to look back at, But
yeah, it's almost like it's you're wearing your history. Yeah. And then people are like, "Whoa, I didn't know you had that tattoo," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was when I was 25. And this or that happened."
When the first one you got?
Oh, 18. I went right in there. Yep. Right in?
What'd your parents think when you got it?
Oh, did not like it at all. No, very disapproving. Now it's like they don't even see them. I mean, I have so many at this point. I'm not totally covered, but I would say I've got a few.
I'm just really interested, and I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, but where this independent streak came from, because it's really, it has served you unbelievably well, but it sounds like it's completely different than the way your folks are. But I mean, they're living a life similar now, I guess.
My dad was kind of a rebel, but in a different way. He was really into science, and he always wanted to like build this crazy scientific like. I couldn't even tell you for most of my life what my dad did for work.
Really?
Because I just couldn't wrap my brain around like what he was putting satellites on top of things and
oh wow,
taking me to all these different places. And then my mom's, she's a real politically active environmentalist, and I totally have different aspects of both of my parents, but I definitely went against the grain.
Yeah.
On a lot of other things, and then with the tattoos, it's funny. Someone was saying, "How could you just like that's such a like permanent decision?" And I can't even explain it. It was almost like jumping off a cliff, sort of.
Sure.
Getting a tattoo, you're like, well, it's never coming off.
Yeah.
But, my dad said that I was just sort of born with this like.
Would you get in trouble?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I was a bad teenager.
When did it?
I'm still making up for it today.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a great relationship with my parents, but between the age of, like, 11 and 15, there was a lot of friction.
And so what chilled that out, if you don't mind me asking?
Moving to Oregon, I think just having, and it's nothing against Hawaii, and I love Hawaii, and that's, like, my original home. I'm Hawaiian. I'm connected, I have a deep connection to Hawaii. But I think I just was one of those people that needed to like go further and have more options. And in Hawaii, we say the mainland.
Yeah.
So when I moved to the mainland, I mean, even just riding the train to like downtown, I was like, oh my God, that's like really satisfying.
Yeah.
Versus I felt stuck on the island.
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, just moving to Oregon and having all these, I think I kind of started to get into like hiking with my mom. I was like, it's like the resistance just fell off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it was just, I stopped being a brat.
No, everybody's got to go through a few little things like that, I feel like.
Yeah.
So when you're out here, I mean, and you're your own boss, and I mean, you're really, you've got this, your days are what you make them. How do you have any certain like kind of daily routines? Like, you do? Oh, good. What are they?
So I think I told you before we started recording, but both of my parents are crazy listers. Like they have lists. My mom has one of those marble notebooks, and she writes her thoughts and everything and definitely everything she wants to accomplish for the day in her little notebook. I'm more of a page tearer. I like to tear the page out when I'm done. So I have a notebook also. And then my dad uses these little notepads, and he has tiny, tiny handwriting. Yep. And he writes his, to-do lists. And I guess I just picked that up. I don't know. It's when I watch my parents doing it, I'm like, oh my God, that's where it came from.
Yeah. No.
But I do that every morning after I take some vitamins and such, because I feel like you should do that first thing so you don't forget. Yeah. And then I always make my bed.
Do you really?
Every morning.
That's a good habit.
If I don't make my bed, I feel like disorganized.
When did that start?
Maybe like 4 years ago. 5 years ago, maybe.
I read some book by a Navy SEAL guy, and he said, if you can just start every day or retired Navy SEAL, but make your bed every morning, and then you got a win under your belt, and then you can go.
Well, and then I feel like it sort of sets, the tone of I'm done sleeping.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time, and like that part is done, and now we're gonna take care of business.
That's cool.
So yeah, and then of course there's coffee, but
you drink a lot of coffee?
I used to. But now I'm only allowed to have one a day.
That's impressive. I'd like to cut back on my coffee, but I can't.
It's hard.
It really is. What vitamins and supplements do you take?
Oh, I was wondering. Yeah, so actually, right now I'm taking different vitamins. I used to, I guess I kind of have to say that I'm having a kid in July.
Are we cool to say that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. The news breaks here.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Well,
I mean, it is so cool. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So I was taking a lot of...
I didn't even mean, when you were saying vitamins, I didn't even think about prenatal.
Well, it's not even just prenatal. I actually eat really healthy. Health and fitness is really important to me.
Yes.
But I'm just being a little careful. I'm just taking a little extra, like, omega and DHA. And but I also take, I love spirulina, chlorella.
What does that do?
They're from... Okay, this is terrible. I'm like really bad at describing what's
fine.
in the vitamins.
No, that's fine.
But they have a lot of iron. They also detoxify. It's really good, I think, for jewelers because they actually they protect you from heavy metals. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say, like, definitely don't quote me on any of those, but that's what I've sort of been led to believe.
Yeah.
And then my midwives I actually stopped taking everything. And then when I talked to my midwives, they were like, take this and this and this. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I was taking. And they're like, well, and it also gives you energy. So I'm actually in the second trimester, so I'm feeling more normal. But the first trimester was pretty brutal. I was really fatigued and nauseous.
It's amazing how that can differ. Like
and then you're like, oh, now I'm even more pregnant and I feel better.
Yeah, on our first one, my wife was completely fine the whole time, and then the second one, that first trimester, was ass whipper. But then it's like almost to the day. It's just like all good.
So, and then but before that, there's a company called Shen Blossom.
Okay.
And actually, if people have been following me on Instagram, you'll see me post about like green MSM, or they make this really cool like collagen that's made out of seaweed, and I just really like their products. So I actually talked to the owner on the phone, and he gave me, because I was like, well, I don't want to take things I'm not supposed to take while I'm pregnant, and so he actually gave me a list of stuff, and it's really, really awesome and really, really helpful. So
very cool.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like you have to really think about what you're putting in your body, even if it's a healthy thing. Anymore. Yeah, even if it's normally a healthy thing, it might not be healthy while you're pregnant. So, but all those, my green drink, I guess, is what you would say, the chlorella, it promotes oxygen in your blood too. Okay. And but mostly the midwives want me to take it for iron.
Well, congrats on that. We'll have to do another one once you're deep into that, because it is an amazing experience. Yeah,
we're really excited.
And I'm just the dumbass dad. Like, I didn't grow the baby inside of me. I mean, I can't imagine how it would feel to be a mom. But anyway, congrats.
And I feel like we're in the right place to raise a kid, at least for us.
What a cool
place. Out
place.
Here, we'll be outside a lot.
So do y'all see yourselves being here for the long haul? I mean, is this...
So I have a dream.
I want to hear this.
I want a dual property
situation
where I have this property here where we already own it and we're already building a cabin on it, but I want another one either in the Pacific Northwest. I really fell in love with Northern California, but I'm a little on the fence. I mean, it's an issue in Oregon and Washington as well, like fires and stuff.
Yes.
But I really love Northern California, and I kind of dream about it being there, but I'm really open. Since I lived in Oregon for so long, I feel connected to Oregon as well. And then even just anywhere in Washington, like anywhere that's sort of the opposite of here, like wet, and just because I think that would be cool. And then we could pick which season we wanted to spend on which property.
Sure.
So that's my dream, but that's like a, maybe an 8-year, 10-year
Plenty
dream.
of time. Plenty of time. I mean, I think slow and steady is the way to go.
Yeah. And so, we'll be here for the foreseeable future for sure. Especially with all the work we're putting into it. I wouldn't walk away.
It's very cool to see what y'all are doing here. So when you think about, I mean, you've obviously got a ton of books. There are some books in your other place over there, and your parents are obviously very influential. So are there any other kind of people you admire who have, maybe you don't have to know them, but people that have shaped your kind of perspective and gotten you to where you are now?
I think this might be kind of a weird answer, or hard way. I might not be able to articulate it, but sometimes when we go backpacking, or if you go anywhere historical and you kind of see like the people the pioneers, or the people who came before you, and like how hard everything was for them.
Yes.
I don't know, like, or the cabins out, and or even, not that I think the gold miners really did a service to
sure
to the land, but just the hardships people had to go through before.
It gives you perspective.
I'm just like, wow, that was hard. And then it makes what we're doing seem easier, what I'm doing for my work easy. Or just even thinking about the metalsmiths that came before, the Native American silversmiths that are masters. And I mean, they didn't have torches. They had like what now would seem like archaic tools, but I mean, they were making beautiful things back then with nothing.
Sure.
And yeah, I can't think of like specific.
No, I think the same thing.
People, but I think it's just anytime I'm witnessing history or the hardships that people before us had to overcome, it's amazing.
It is. I mean, I think that's one of I read so much history, and I feel like it makes me feel better about everything. Just like generally, just our like you said, how kind of cush everything is, even when it's not cush compared to those days. But then like the political climate, everybody's so mad all the time. But like I'm obsessed with Theodore Roosevelt. In his time period, people were just as mad and they were just as mean. I mean, it's like that on steroids with the social media. But we've been these places before, I think. So that's why I love history. And I never read a damn book ever in school. Like, anytime I was assigned a book, I wouldn't read it. And now I can't stop reading. I don't know what that's all about. I almost forgot to ask this. What does CobraCult mean?
Oh, that's a good question. Wish I could
secret?
answer it well.
You don't have to answer
it. Okay, so the best answer I have is, at the time when I came up with that name, which I seriously think was probably like 10 years ago, I really found cults interesting. Like, the psychology of
they are
cults.
Interesting.
And it's really cool. Okay, I'm not saying the communes out here were cults by any means, but there's a lot of like alternative collective thinking out here in New Mexico. A lot of interesting history. Not cults, but communes.
Sure.
But the cult stuff, I mean, I think I watched like every documentary on like that I could find about cults. Kind of
like
weird.
Jonestown stuff.
Yeah, but even like beyond, like, you have the Heaven's Gate people, and so I think I kind of liked the cult. Like, it's just, I don't know, fascinating and weird, and I think I just liked snakes, so I just kind of combined it, and then it's kind of become its own word to me.
It is.
Because I've said it so many times.
Yeah. That
I don't even think of them being separate words.
Sure.
Just CobraCult.
I like it. I think it's...
And it's kind of weird because I think, what I'm into and sort of my vibe is not very culty or Cobra-like. It's, I think, like, if I could choose a favorite animal right now, it'd be like a mountain lion. But Cobra it is, because I think it's an interesting word when you put those two together.
It is. It really...
You're like, I think people are like, what the heck does that mean?
I think initially when I first saw you, like, on Instagram, the name, I was like, who is this person? What is that? Cool.
What does that name even mean? And then I don't think I like exude like this Cobra cultness necessarily, but it's an intriguing name.
Works.
I'm sticking with it.
I think you should stick with it. It has worked.
I wish I had a cooler story about it though.
I kind of like that.
I kind of just like the two words.
No, that makes, I mean, it's a lot cooler than the word Google or something.
Just a random, like, how do they come up with Google or Yahoo?
Wait, and this is kind of jumping all over the place, but when did Instagram become a big source of your, I feel like it's a great marketing tool, but it's just a great way for you to kind of tell your story of what you're doing out here. So
Instagram it's such a like beast now. When I first got it, I think if you go I've never like changed my Instagram. It was my personal, and then now it's both my personal and my business. And if you go like way back to the beginning, it's just my personal. So you can kind of, it's really crazy. You can kind of see the progression of like who someone is and then what they become, which is so trippy. But it's kind of crazy if you go all the way to the back. Yeah. But yeah, it's probably, and I hate to give it this much weight, it's probably been the most beneficial, influential tool that I've had, because it's free and you reach thousands of people at a time. And but it's kind of a curse, because when you're doing it for your business, which I'm sure you know, like sometimes you don't feel like posting a photo, but you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
And I've actually sort of let go of that recently, because we don't really have internet here.
That's good.
And I don't have service, but we will have service on the second story of our cabin. So we'll see how I do. And
don't tell anybody that. I'll delete that out.
Okay, so delete that out.
You're not responsible for returning
but
messages.
it's been nice to just take a break from it. Sometimes I'm like, well, I don't have service, I can't post anything anyways. Yeah. But at the same time, it's beautiful. You get to see, what people are doing. And I mean, I follow like my friends, and then I also follow other businesses that I support. And you get to kind of, in a weird, creepy way, like you kind of know what everyone's doing.
Well, that's when I showed up here. I was like, oh yeah, you made some good progress on your house.
You're like, oh, the roof's on.
I mean, and it's very odd, but at the same time, if used correctly, it's really cool. Because if it weren't for Instagram, I wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't know each other.
Yeah.
And so it's really neat.
I do think there's a lot of inspiring stuff on Instagram. There is also a lot of negative stuff, which we kind of talked about before. But I try to steer clear of the negative stuff. And you are in control of your feed. So I find it interesting when people get like, trolls.
Do you ever get that?
I've been lucky, actually. I've had a few people say some weird comments, and I have a zero tolerance, so I'm just like, block, bye.
Yeah, same.
It's I can choose, what's coming towards me in social media, and if I don't like it, you're gone.
That's my policy.
But I'm just like, why would you even follow someone and just be so negative? Like, just...
It's pitiful.
And I think that I like to just have positive stuff in my feed. And don't get me wrong, like the political climate, or like, oh my gosh, the fires in Australia, like I'm not going to block that stuff out because it's good to be informed, but I'm not going to put negative things out there. But I will say, if I'm like, this is hard.
Well, people need to know that, because I think some people play it up like everything's just ideal, and there's no way around it. Y'all are working hard out here.
Yeah, and I think I do a pretty good job of being like, all right. Like I think I posted something yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, where I was like, this is not what my life looks like. Yeah. But I don't feel like I was complaining about it. I felt like I was like, this is hard. We can do this.
Yeah.
We'll go on like some fun trips or do something fun soon. And I think there needs to be more of that, and less like the victim. I don't know. I want to tread lightly here, but like the world's just happening to you and you don't have any control over it. Like, I don't know. I've been listening to some like sort of not the most profound self-help books lately, but and actually, in one of your interviews, you talked about The Daily Stoic.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually bought that book, and I've recommended it to a lot of people, but that's just sort of that point of view where you just shouldn't get crazy, like, upset and devastated over things like you can't control.
It's very powerful.
If you can control something, do something about it. And so I try to live that way and be in a state of gratitude and try to portray that in my social media. And I never post anything that's not genuine. Yeah, so if I'm like not having a good day, I'm probably not going to post like, today's the best day ever.
Sure.
But at the same time, I probably wouldn't be like, I'm having the worst day ever. I'll try to get into the Daily Stoic vibe and put a different spin on it, No,
it doesn't matter what I think, but just in general, I love the tone and the content of everything you put out there. And
Thanks.
It's authentic, and it made me just really curious. I'm like, man, I need to talk to her, figure out what's going on around here. So I've got a few questions that I like to ask people at the end.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about books a little bit. Daily Stoic's a good one. And, it could be books about the West, could be books about art. Are there any books that just come to mind as being your favorites?
And I got this suggestion off your podcast
really?
also.
I need to. Bezos needs to be paying me. I haven't read it.
Oh, you haven't read it?
No,
okay.
somebody else.
Recommended
several
it.
people have recommended it.
So that book, and it's Pamela Roy. Okay.
I'll put a link to it.
Don't quote me.
No, I'll put a link
either.
on the webpage.
I have too much in my brain right now.
No, that's fine. Annie,
that book inspired me a lot. I already was really interested in mule packing before, because I did some volunteer projects with my mom with like Sierra Club and then Wilderness Volunteers, which those are both good things. You go out in the wilderness and, pick invasive species and whatnot. But there were some mule packers brought in the supplies, and I remember just being like, that's a job. With the child coming, that ship's definitely sailed for me. But I read the book and I got really inspired, and I said, how can I figure out how to do this? Totally forgetting that I have a jewelry business to run. And I actually went and did a 2-week mule packing.
Wow.
I guess it was like mule packing school. I basically just got trained with the employees of the packing company.
Okay.
But I mean, that was one of the coolest experiences, and it kind of like the book kind of pushed me to do it, and I was like,
good for you.
So that book was the last book, and I actually haven't read much lately just because we've been like,
you got a little bit going on.
Yeah, we've been in the grind, and I want to read more, but I have a hard time sitting still and relaxing.
You need to get some mules out here at some point.
So that is the other part of the dream. I don't know how we'll probably have to like bring the mules and the horses to like between the two properties that one day we'll own. But yeah, I'd love to because you can go I love backpacking. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
But when you have a mule and a horse, oh my gosh, you can go really far.
I had Chris Iyer on the podcast, who's mule dragger.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
God, that guy is so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what a cool... I look at that and I'm like, man, if I could, in another lifetime.
He's like a spiritual guru. He's like an expert in meditation and Buddhism. He studied all these religions. But he was also a soldier in the Gulf War.
Yeah,
I mean, he's kind of like,
and that's a lot of animals to take care of.
Oh yeah, that was a great, for people who want to learn about mule packing, go to that.
That book.
I need to read that.
It's a really good book.
I need to read, just in general, I need to read more books written by women. I realize that. I always do like a top 10 list of the best books I read.
Yeah.
And every time it's like all dudes who wrote them. And it's not like I don't mean to do that, but I really do need to make an effort, because I think even though I try to expose myself to all these new ideas, I'm still in my bubble. That'll be next on my list.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was a really... not an easy read in like a bad way, an easy read where it was just really enjoyable. I didn't want to put it down. Okay. And then I also want to go to all the places in the book, which is usually what happens when you read a good book. I'm like, I need to go there.
Okay, good. That's on my list.
Yeah, so I'd say that's the book I would choose to...
I normally ask about films and movies, but I don't think y'all are. Why? Do you have any films and movies?
Well, I know you asked about the documentary.
Yeah. And
actually was thinking about it and had the hardest time. But then I realized that it's this documentary called Happy People. It's a year in the taiga, Siberia, I believe.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh! It's they follow mostly this one guy, and I mean it is cold, and he's like a trapper, and he just talk about hardship. It's like it's colder than cold.
Wow!
And they're getting all their own food. I mean, it's sustainable. It's just amazing how they live. But yeah, that's a really neat one, and it's a really it doesn't leave you thinking, oh, the world's gonna end, like a lot of documentaries.
Sure. That's a good one. I've never even heard of that. So.
He goes out and he's out in the middle of nowhere, and he like chops a tree down and he makes skis.
Oh really?
Cross country skis, just there, and then he skis off on them. It's really cool. Yeah, it's Happy People.
Okay.
A year in the taiga.
All right, I'll have a link to that. When you think about all the places you've been in the West and Hawaii, we'll count that too. Is there one spot that's your favorite?
Well, it's Trinity County, where I used to live. I mean, obviously I love New Mexico, but the Trinity Alps are
that's it.
My throw my ashes over there.
Okay, nice.
But then I'm currently obsessed with the Wind River Range, and I had big plans. I was going to go on like a 2-week backpacking trip this summer, but now I'm not. Maybe in a couple of years.
They'll be there. Yeah, they're spectacular, and I haven't explored them as I should.
I want to go.
But that's like the National Outdoor Leadership School Knowles. That's where it all started, because they were like, these things are remote, they're hardcore. It's the real deal. There's a special species of trout up there that you can't really find.
Cool.
You only find there in the Sierras, golden trout. They're in those high alpine lakes.
I've been to the golden trout wilderness.
Yeah.
I don't know if
is that in the Sierras?
Yeah, in the Sierras. Yeah. That's where we went meal packing.
Oh, really? It all
Yeah.
comes around. No, that's cool. Yeah. So those are in the Sierras and the Wind Rivers. I don't know how they got there.
One day, it's on my list. That's actually the top of my list.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they have grizzly bears there. I don't know if I want to bring, we'll see how old the kid can be before. I want Cody to come with me.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he could handle a grizzly bear, I think.
Yeah.
So 2 other questions, and they're both kind of hard, but what's the best advice you've ever received? If you can
I have like a double answer for that.
Okay.
And so a quote that I like, and I honestly don't know who said it, so if you know who said it,
I'll look it up.
That's who it was. It was like, life is school, pain is the lesson. Mm-hmm. And I didn't take it away as like, oh, life is pain, but you learn so much more from painful or hard experiences. Mm-hmm. I don't look back and say, oh, wow, that one day everything was so easy. Wow, I really like grew a lot that day. So I feel like that resonates with me. And then an old mentor, I kind of had a jewelry mentor for a while. He was awesome but crazy. Mm-hmm. But he used to always tell me if I made a mistake, he'd say, well, if you can, make it look intentional. And I was like, and then every once in a while you do something like you stamp something weird and you're like, okay, that's not what I was going for, but will this work?
Yeah.
And then, and then, sorry to like, have you ever seen that? I think it's a meme where it's like the artist process.
Yeah, I have.
The one where it's like, this is going to be awesome. Uh-huh. I mean, I think about that like meme every day. I'm like, this is literally what happens to me.
I think you sent that to me one time. You sent that to me on Instagram.
Maybe,
You did. I think it's on my phone.
It's like,
that's where I saw it.
This is going to be awesome. This is hard. And then it's like, this sucks. This is not going to work. And then this might work. And then this is awesome. So it's like the process you go through. And I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of artists probably go through that same process. And it's funny. I don't know who, maybe someone, the original person who said that was like a philosopher or something, but I did see it on a meme. So
no, I've seen that before. And I think it's very true. I mean, I'm not an artist like you, but just in anything I do.
Yeah. I mean,
just like,
that's so true for me.
Go down this little valley. And then when you get out,
I mean, could you imagine if you were making stuff and you're like, this is, oh my God, everything I make is so awesome. Like, there's no self-doubt. I'm like, wow, that person, how did you get there?
You're either a narcissist or you're making something that's very boring. It's not art. You know, that's what you're talking about, you know, if you mess something up. But that's what makes your art your art. I mean, if it's perfect, quote, perfect, that's from a machine or a factory. Yeah,
I don't make perfect
That's not what
things.
You do. No, it's yours.
I make solid things that won't break. And I think they're beautiful, but I would not say perfect.
So, kind of last question. You said that you get emails from people asking, like, how did you get into this business? And, you know, the people that listen to this podcast, they love, like, this landscape we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
They love the West, whether it's through art or history or conservation, whatever. So do you have any just general advice or words of wisdom from what you've been doing?
Definitely. I've had a lot of people say like, wow, you're living the dream. Like, how do I get there? And I'm always like, oh, I could sugarcoat it and be like, oh, it's so easy. Like, just follow your dreams. But I mean, there's a lot of self-doubt that comes with, having a big dream or, working for yourself, especially as an artist. I mean, the artist process is a good example. Just hard work, grit, and then just even when you think okay, maybe I don't know what I'm doing, but just do it anyways. Mm-hmm. And then what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn from the failure. But I think especially like living out here, the way that we live, it's very rustic. It's definitely not comfortable all the time. It's not cush, but the benefits we get, like if you are really just wanting to live close to nature and you want to hear the birds singing and not like the highway, then this would be a good place for you.
Definitely.
But hard work, I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, there's no easy button like in that commercial.
Yeah.
And also get ready to like spend a lot of time by yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to spend time alone, or just like, I think I'm really fun to hang out with. I hang out with myself all the time. And I think knowing that that's part of it too, especially if you're an artist, like I'm sure, like the other artists, I mean, you don't like paint or make jewelry in a room full of people. Mm-hmm. Usually alone.
By yourself.
And so get comfortable with yourself.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah. I mean, and get comfortable pushing yourself past what you think you're comfortable with.
I think that's great. That's great advice. Well, thank you very much for taking the time, especially with everything y'all have going on. This was really fun. Hey, it's Ed again. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, and thanks for listening to that particular episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Before you go, I've got 3 quick things. Number 1, if you like the podcast, please do me a huge favor. Either pass it along to a friend who may be interested, share it on your social media, or go to iTunes and give it a 5-star review. All those things would mean a lot to me, and they would really help to spread the word about the podcast. Number 2, if you've listened to many of these episodes, you know that I love reading and I love talking about books. Every other month, I send out a quick email with a few books that I've recently read and highly recommend. The subjects are varied, but they're pretty much all nonfiction with an emphasis on history, biographies, adventure narratives, and topics related to the American West. There are no sales pitches for ranches, no spam, no other kind of nonsense, just books. So if you'd like to sign up for the list, head to Mountain and Prairie/reading, or just go to Mountain and Prairie and there's a massive tab at the top that says book recommendations. Click on it. There are a ton of good books that I've read. Some of the old email lists are on there. You can go crazy. There are a lot of books. And finally, if you know anyone I should interview for the podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. All my contact info is at mountainandprairie.com, and I'm on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. So feel free to reach out. I'd love to have some recommendations and suggestions of interesting people I should meet. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.